Hey guys, straight up with John, coming at you with another Awaken Chaos Era video. On today's video, this is going to be the next installment to the Zero to Hero series, where we come back on Kaylin's account for episode 4, where we will build the Ashe team for her, as well as we're going to take a quick look, see what kind of progress she's made since she's been able to farm the Queen of Tides, and go through the whole process from start to finish on building this Ashe team, so that way you guys have a better understanding of what is the next step once you have completed Queen 12. All right, and we are back. So let's start by pointing out just a couple of quick things. This account is only level 46. It has all the heroes, which I know I've gotten a lot of comments down below where they've mentioned like, why don't you do a takeover that doesn't have all these characters and so on and so forth. Well, I see your point, and I don't disagree with what you're trying to say. However, the compositions that I've been able to build on this account, these weren't the compositions that are anything out of the ordinary. The only difference is Blackhorn here, and honestly, replacing Blackhorn with Rodira is very simple and very quick. In this particular account, it just made more sense to use Blackhorn because she's not going to use Rodira. The stats are going to be the same. The end result is still going to be the same. So I did want to purposely mention that because the team that I built here was kind of the free-to-play comp, versus she has a Gangello, which obviously we could have used and built an even faster comp for her. But now that she has farmed quite a bit of gear, let's go see how much gear she's actually farmed, see if she's actually been really running this like she said she has, or if she was just, faking it a little bit. But it looks like we have a lot of level 6 gear here to play with and work with. You can definitely tell this is a lot of runs in the Queen of Tide 12, because now we're getting into the actual blues as well. But notice the 6 stars here, just a ridiculous amount of 6-star gear compared to when I first took this account over, and this was the gear that I was dealing with, right? Not so great gear, mostly 4 stars, some 5 stars. None of it was even purple or legendary. So this is definitely an improvement. So let's go ahead and let's talk about what the best options are to build the Ashe team and how that's kind of decided. So looking at her account, she has a Nathalia, we have a Blackhorn, we have Santis. Okay, we have a Mary. Does Mary have anything done? Her abilities are done. Perfect. Her glyphs are not done. That's kind of a bummer. We have Rodira. Okay, we got a few things going on here on the account. Okay, we have a Ciara. Ciara is super impactful for Ashe, but however, her abilities are not done on Ciara, so that's going to be extremely detrimental, and the glyphs are not done either. Okay, so looking just a quick off the cup, what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for characters that I know can be used in Ashe 12 comps that are going to make the difference on the account. In this case, I'm looking for blue damage dealers such as like Nathalia, Ciara, Hydricia. I'm looking for them to be really filled out and able to do work. Unfortunately, I'm not really seeing a whole lot other than Nathalia. We do have a Santis, which is also very helpful and impactful. We have the Blackhorn here, but honestly, I don't know that we're going to need to use him. I'm thinking we're going to build the Ashe Wolf comp just right off the top of my head, mainly because we already have the Mary invested in and her abilities are done, and that's one of the big characteristics. And you do not need Mary in the best gear or level 60 to pull this off. So I think that's what we're going to go with. We also do have the Ice Wolf over here, which is perfect. So it looks like she's already kind of started on this maybe. And we have some forward progression with it. So I think we're going to finish this off. We'll go ahead and we'll build the Ashe comp, and we'll see how it goes. So the first things first, when I like to build these comps, is I like to see where the person's at on the roster here. Right now we are at level 10. Okay, so we're trying to get to 12 down here. Now keep in mind this Ashe Wolf comp is speed tuned, right? So it may not work specifically for level 10, 11, all the way down to 12. We do know it works for sure for 12. I think it actually technically works for 11 as well. It may work for 10. So what we're going to do is we're going to try it first, and we're going to see what we can get. So the first character I always focus on when building this comp is Nathalia. The reason being is if you cannot get Nathalia's damage correct, then it doesn't matter. The comp is doomed and it will fail right off the get-go. So you need to make sure that you have Nathalia built properly. Now the other thing to note here is Santis is in this comp as well, but she should be in the correct stats and the correct gear from Queen of Tides. That's why you carry her over into the Ashe comp for this Ice Wolf, and that's why it's highly recommended, because you already have one character that's dialed in. So we have Santis, who should be good to go for this composition. We have Nathalia we need to build. Now we've also identified that we need to build Mary, and we need to build the Ice Wolf. The greatest thing about this composition is the Ice Wolf is just there to die. We don't need anything out of the Ice Wolf other than he just needs to go fast enough to die, which is kind of helpful because he's going to be the third person in the rotation. So the first one should be Santis, and then I believe it's Mary, and then the Ice Wolf, and it may be flipped around. I'll have to definitely double check that before we get going. I always get that confused, but I do know it's Santis and is first and Nathalia is last. So at least we know that part. So let's go ahead and let's get Nathalia going here, so that way we can make sure we have plenty of damage that's going to get done. We also currently have an event going on, so upgrading this gear is going to be very impactful on the account. Okay, so we are currently running with, we're running with a revival with a warrior set on Nathalia. All right, some okay pieces, not the greatest, but some okay pieces. Well, what I'm shooting for here is I'm really looking for about 3,500 attack and about 240, 250% crit damage. That is the ideal number that I'm really looking for, and the HP and defense needs to be right around 10k to 11k. She is missing all of her glyphs. Okay, this is where a lot of this is where a lot of things are coming into play here. So by her not having these done, okay, so that's, we're losing 10 right here. Okay, 2% attack there. These are literally almost 15 like pieces of gear that are 15. We can still try this. We'll just kind of gear this in mind that the stats are going to get improved, and maybe once the glyphs are done, it'll make the difference. So let's go ahead and let's just unequip this. Let's start off from scratch as if we don't know the glyphs aren't done, and let's try to really build this team out correctly. So what we're going to be looking for is, I like to usually start with a crit damage ring. Crit rate ring is okay as long as it has a lot of subsets in the crit damage, because you really need to scale high on that crit damage. I will not keep a crit damage ring unless it has crit rate here. Looks like that is definitely something that has been applied to this account, which I'd love to see. So let's go ahead and let's filter this out with crit rate. Looks like we only have one other one that's a possibility, which is this one here. Let's go ahead and let's just roll that just a couple times, just to one, clear out a little bit of trash here, as well as to get a better understanding of where we are really sitting on the account as far as gear goes, right? Because one of the biggest hurdles in the game is just upgrading your gear. Knowing what you have and what you can utilize is really pretty detrimental to making any type of forward progress in this game. Okay, so it rolled one crit rate, health percentage, and attack flat. Okay, so let's compare that. Where does that land over here? So we have a attack percent, precision, defense. Okay, so it's, this one's better. We're gonna just roll with this one for right now. And honestly, we may roll that all the way up to 15. It just really depends. You don't technically need to roll this to 15 to complete this composition. All right, so it looks like we have another crit rate here. Also, for those that are watching and they're kind of wondering, okay, well, why isn't he focusing on using this curse set for this particular composition? Well, the reason why is because you don't actually want curse set in this, because what happens is you get an extra turn, which throws off the rotation and actually harms you rather than helps you when fighting the boss in the Ash dungeon. Okay, so that's decent right here. Let's grab another attack percent. Notice I am focusing on attack percent. Her crit or her speed can be extremely low, so we're not too worried about the speed on the character. We're just really looking for and making sure that we crit cap here and get enough damage. It looks like I almost think we're getting almost the same exact build as what was on her, other than obviously it was revival. Maybe this will start to change as we kind of push through here to see what else we have upgraded. We may have to start upgrading gear as well here very soon, and that's okay. Obviously, we got to do what we got to do to be able to get this rolling for. Okay, so right here, it's a 5-star, so I'm not going to worry about it, but normally that would be a perfect weapon if that was a 6-star weapon. All right, I'm gonna roll this one here. So for those of you that do not know, if this has a flat stat, it has more of a chance to roll on a flat stat than it does to roll on a percent stat. So I'd rather roll a blue and risk it for the biscuit, so to speak, on rolling a blue than I want to utilize anything else. At least this way I know that there is a greater chance that this lands on just these two stats rather than a flat stat. Unfortunately, this did roll bad. We got a focus crit rate in health, so that is a terrible roll. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna move over to the other one, even though I was not too keen on rolling that one because it's gonna have pretty unruly results. Let's lock that one. That's a pretty decent one right there. Let's go ahead and let's see if we can't grab that other piece of gear that we just rolled and feed that into this other one. Okay, here it is. So let's feed this in there. And the reason why we're gonna feed it in there is because yes, it did roll once on crit rate, but this is a plus 12. So at this point, the ceiling's pretty much hit as far as usability on this piece of gear. All right, so let's go, we'll eat these up because honestly, 5-star gear, once you can get 6-star gear, 5-star gear is kind of just it's a rip. You can pretty much leave it alone. Keep that one for right now because it's double crit rate. We may need that later on for a better build. Who knows? Maybe she has a plan for that as well. Okay, now let's grab this. We'll get crit rate, crit damage going. Okay, so it went crit damage and then it double rolled into defense and then a +1 on defense. That's unfortunate because this makes this a 2 flat stat piece of gear. That's a rip. Honestly, this is usually 100% like a rip. We do not use this, so we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna switch that back. We're gonna put this to crit rate. Let's try getting an attack percentage here, which we have this piece of gear right here. We're gonna take this one over it because it just makes more sense. We don't want that piece of gear that was 2 flat stats. That's that usually hurts us more in the long run, and you're just asking to deal with a lot of heartache with that. Okay, so let's grab, so we're looking for crit rate, crit damage still. We only have a couple of pieces that have this on here. Honestly, this crown is gonna be probably the best option. Let's go ahead and roll this, see what we can get, see if anything good happens with this. Hopefully we get something that is useful, but if we don't, we don't, and it's not the end of the world. Okay. Oh wow, that could have not rolled any worse. Wow, I mean it could have rolled a lot worse. That was unfortunate. That was not at all what I was looking for. I guess we go back to crit rate and attack percentage, see if we can't get something better there. This is pretty decent here with the focus and the resistance. Attack percent and focus and resistance. Flat attack. You know what I was saying about flat attack, guys? You definitely want to try to stay away from that if you can. Let's roll this one up instead, just see what we can get in general. Normally I would rip these on my own account, but being as she's still a fairly new player as far as farming in these dungeons, let's not take away all of her options for those pieces of gear. This rolled the 9, double flat. That's terrible rolls. Today has not been a good day for rolling gear. Anything that could possibly go wrong has went wrong. And one thing I want to note here, as I'm rolling these pieces of gear, I want you to pay attention to what I'm doing with these. Notice that we rolled this earlier, right? We just rolled this one. I said we weren't going to use it. It can't be used. We're going to get rid of it. The reason why I say this cannot be used is because it rolled once into crit rate and once into crit damage. That's 2 of the rolls, and then it unlocked defense and then went into defense. Those 2 additional rolls here to the flat stats, defense is just not going to be a huge flat stat that's going to be acceptable. So we've wasted a lot of utility on this piece of gear, and you're never going to roll it up to 15. So if you're never going to roll it up to 15, there's no sense in trying to use this. We really need a double crit rate roll or crit damage roll. So you'd be trying to bend too many stats together when you're using pieces of gear like this that have a flat stat with the double crits on them. This one, like I said, this was also ripped. So we immediately get rid of those pieces of gear because this saves us on using all this other gear as well as on your charms, right? So instead of doing a gear cleanse while you're doing this, this allows you to quickly level up your gear, as well as it gets rid of all the crap gear that you have. So that way you have a better idea of what you're actually dealing with and working with. It also definitely helps you with your gold cost and consumptions. Okay, here we go. This one went double crit rate, resistance. Not the greatest for didn't really need this. However, the double crit rate is exactly what we kind of needed for this build. Notice that now I have 5% crit rate needed, and then I need quite a bit of crit damage still. However, this crit damage ring down here can still be rolled up to 15. So we still have quite a bit of room when it comes to the ceiling as far as building this champion. So let's see, we need 5% crit rate and the crit damage. So let's prioritize crit damage first and then crit rate. And this way it gives us the higher rolls and the crit damage first. Here's another one that is, see, this is If it didn't roll resistance, this would be trash as well, but because it rolled resistance on that double, this has utility because it is a revival. So there is a chance that could be useful. This one is going to be a rip. This would get fed right back into it. Okay, so we have a couple pieces of gear we can roll. Let's try rolling this revival piece here. Let's just see what we can get here. Hopefully, honestly, I would like to see this just go completely onto crit damage. That was the ideal because we have 5 crit rate, so that puts her at right at 100 for the crit damage. So I would like to keep that just like it is, and hopefully we can hit crit damage on this. And we're gonna roll the dice. We're gonna take it all the way up to 12 without looking, and that way, in hopes that it gives us crit damage. There it is. Okay, that worked out pretty good. We got a double roll into crit damage and precision. Precision is always amazing to have on any damage dealer, so that helps them not get deflected. Okay, so overall, the build is a little under what I need. It's a little under what I need. Really, this crit damage, like I said, needs to go up. I think the speed is also going to have to end up going up just a little bit, but we'll play with it for right now. First, let's get this weapon. Let's get this ring all the way up. It's totally worth taking to a 15. So let's go ahead and do that because it's going to make the build come into fruition. Don't leave that one locked for right now. It's going to help the build come into fruition. All right. Oh, let's not go that far then. Tap her in. There we go. Okay. And it went crit rate. That's actually worked out really nicely. So that definitely helps with that build even more. So that puts us right about the crit damage that I was looking for. Crit rate is now 6 over. Keep in mind, we could get another 10% crit damage here with these 2 glyphs there. The attack is going to come up quite a bit, and we can actually get another 2% crit rate. We're not going to worry too much about that, but we do know that we can min-max just a little bit more on this 106%. So let's just take a quick look and see if there is one piece of gear that has, say, 6% crit rate or lower that we could utilize and take off. So this one right here, even though this rolled well, we do have crit rate on here with the crit damage. There may be a possibility that we can go with a crit damage with, say, attack percent. Maybe there is a better piece that we can get more utilization on. So like this right here, these stats are great. This would also give us more attack because it completes the warrior set. So let's just see if we can't get this one to also roll crit damage. But notice that that's what we did, is we got a starting build and then we went back. Now we're going back and we're going to min-max just a little bit to see what we can get. So right here, that worked out kind of okay. We got more attack, we got crit damage and HP percentage. So that definitely takes up our HP, which puts us above the threshold. The only thing, like I said, I don't like about this is that did lower that crit damage. The crit rate is more utilized, but our attack is a lot higher than what I needed for my threshold. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna change that out, and we're gonna try it and see what happens. If we know we just barely fail and we can't clear the waves, we know we can get that additional 10% crit damage, and we may have to go do that to go ahead and satisfy this requirement. But at this point, I'm gonna call Nathalia's build done, and we're gonna move on to the next champion. So we have Santis done, we have Nathalia done. The next one that honestly is the biggest problem is going to be the Ice Wolf, because he's got to go fast enough to essentially line up correctly against the boss. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get this Ice Wolf built. Now, the only thing that I'm going to note here is that I'm essentially just looking for some speed on him. He does need to die. Like I said, I can't remember if he's second or third in the rotation. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to risk it for the biscuit, and I think he is second in the rotation. I think I want Santis to go first, and then I want the Ice Wolf to go afterwards. So that's what we're going to try to do. I'm just trying to see if I can grab this speed glyph right here. That's the main thing I was trying to do, is because speed unfortunately is needed, and it's not worth it to take his glyphs all the way up. However, I knew if I could make it to this glyph particularly, it gives me an additional 6 speed, which is 6 less speed than I have to really worry about. Stat wise, we are not looking for anything crazy on him. We're not looking for amazing stats. We're actually looking for low stats, because the point of him is he needs to die. So what we're going to do is we're going to put on the worst possible gear we can give him, but we want him to go right after Santis. So let's go see what Santis's speed is. And we need to also keep in mind that whatever Santa's speed is, the Ice Wolf goes next, and then after the Ice Wolf is going to be Mary. So we need to make sure we can also make Mary go afterwards. So Santa's is 161. So we need to be 160 or lower on the Ice Wolf. Now, the only crappy part about building the Ice Wolf is he has super low base speed. But the nice thing is because we don't care about his survivability, we can give him all of the crappy speed gear possible, and it works out just great. Right now we do not have, it does not look like we have a raider piece of speed gear, not yet anyway. So let's just find a bad piece of gear like this that we're not going to use on anyone else. And unfortunately we are going to have to roll this up because, well, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Let's not do that because I don't want to roll it that high. Take all those, and then we'll take not that. Let's not take that piece of boot there. We can go ahead and take these. Perfect. Let's roll this to 9 and just see what we get here. Perfect. Whatever, don't even care what it rolls. I'm just looking to get 160, so we need an additional 51 speed. Now we do get 15 plus 15 if we use Raider here, plus 15 Raider here. So that's 30 out of the 51 that we need. So this, or that we could use really. So that means we need about 21 more speed. So we're going to be looking for a little bit of speed on our weapon and on our 2 amulets. You cannot get speed on either your helm or your chest. So definitely keep that in mind when you're trying to build a comp like this. So we're going to be looking for Raider gear. Where's it at? Raider gear. Oof. With speed, substat. It's kind of a rip. Let's try this right here. Okay, so we don't have a whole lot of, yeah, we're really lacking in that department, which is kind of to be expected because we're trying to farm ash for this type of gear, right? So that is kind of a bummer. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to turn this on and let's just look for the best substat of speed we can get, because we have one more piece of gear here that we can really utilize because it's not going to match with the revival set. So let's just find a piece of gear that has like a good roll of speed. That's not necessarily a great piece of gear that we're going to want to utilize with this character. All right, let's try maybe this weapon here. Let's just see if we can't get a double roll into speed is essentially all I'm going to be looking for. See what this gives us. No speed whatsoever, so that's kind of a rip, and that's kind of to be expected. That's the crappy part about dealing with these types of compositions. When you're dealing with characters that you know you're going to be minimally investing in, you don't really want to use your best gear. However, you know you need to get a little bit of these stats because we got one roll into speed. Let's take it to 9, and then we won't take it any higher because this is a terrible piece of gear. And I purposely use a terrible piece of gear so that way you don't feel like you need to ever steal this from your Ice Wolf, and that way he always stays built. That is 100% why we do this. So before you go, well, John, well, why did you do that for? Well, it's because we don't want to have to flip-flop any type of gear. So this is why we do it this way. Okay, so that gives us up to 115. And now we have to do the amulet and the ring. Now the ring, it looks like it is shared. That's the only other ring we have, but we really have to have that. Like we're at 133 here, which is kind of bad. That's actually a little slow, and that's not, oof, this is gonna get rough. I think this is gonna get rough really fast. Oh, and we can't take those boots off either. Those are a must-have on Santis. Okay, we're gonna take that for now. This is at 121, and then now we gotta go grab a speed boot of some type that is not equipped to anybody else, and we just gotta take it up. So it looks like this one right here is gonna be the winner chicken dinner. Puts us at 151. All right, and we're gonna take that, and then we're gonna call that good for right now. There's no reason to take this up any higher. Unfortunately, it's just kind of, it is what it is. 151 is gonna be our target, so now we need Mary to go right after the Ice Wolf. So, and I think the boss is at 130, so as long as we're faster than 130, it's okay, but that leaves us a very narrow window for Mary. Because the problem with Mary is she doesn't have her glyphs done, and she needs to be tanky. She has to be tanky for this comp to work correctly. So let's go ahead and let's build our Mary. Now I'm going to start with the bottom row here because that makes the most sense. You always want to make sure that you are utilizing gear that you have already. So let's go ahead and let's figure out what pieces of HP percent that we can use, because she is here to be tanky. Now she does need a little bit of speed. So let's go ahead and filter in just a tad bit of speed. We're not looking for any focus on her because she's just going to be a tanky girl. Speed, defense, that's okay. Revival set, we're okay with getting a revival set on her. This will help with her tankiness. It's not needed. Definitely don't think that is a must have. Let's take this all the way up. This is a good piece of gear. Let's go ahead and take this to 12. Speed, focus, defense ×2. That's actually worked out really, really well in our favor. It gives us a little bit of speed here. Gives us a good defense boost because, like I said, she needs to be tanky to really survive correctly. I want to say it's about 12K to 13K is the ideal goal here. However, at the end of the day, it is what it is, and we get what we get. That's a very good ring for what we're trying to build. Like I said, we're building tanky comps, so we want to use tanky pieces of gear. This piece of gear is perfect for any type of a tanky situation. Once again, double defense and 1 into speed. We're slowly climbing up there. I feel like this is we're off to a really good start on this build so far. If I could get some revival pieces, that would be ideal. But I do want to point out that if you go back and you watch the other videos of this series, we were not able to get a whole lot of gear options before, and now that she's done some farming on Queen of Tides, I have options. I'm not limited so much as to what I was beforehand, and it was pretty rough. Like it was literally, let's just break a lot of rules to make these compositions. Now that she's farmed for a few days on the Queen of Tides, I now can make other cognizant decisions on gear and not worry so much about what the outcome is going to be. Like this one right here, I knew this was going to be a gamble, but I was hoping that we'd get at least another substat that was useful. In this case, we did. We got defensive percentage. Crit rate it's unfortunately this one time, this is not what we wanted to get here, but it's okay because we got the HP percent. It has some speed. Like I said, we need to be below 151 and we need to be above 130. So we technically have met that requirement. And that's why we've been looking just for a little bit of speed on each and every piece of gear, because that's what we needed, right? We were looking for speed and we were looking for a little bit of focus. Now, once again, here we go. We have some more pieces of gear. Now, this one has speed as well. I just want to check something real quick. I want to see if there's any revival pieces of gear here that I can get that are potentially going to work out okay for me. And the reason why I say this is because I want to, if I can, I want to make her be able to sustain, because we don't have, that's actually not bad, but it's not really what we need for her current build. That would be a ooze shiny moment that did not pan out. We'll go ahead and we'll take this one up a little bit. But because I know we're probably not going to hit the threshold as far as the tankiness for her, a revival set would be okay just in the interim. It's not going to be the end all be all, because what happens is this boss will hit you with a wave attack, and that wave attack is what really does the damage, right? So not just because she's in revival doesn't mean she's going to heal up enough in between, and that's definitely that rolled terribly, but we've got 2 revival pieces here. We're still way below our threshold. Unfortunately, this may be one of those situations where we may have to send her back to do some homework and some farming for some glyphs. But for right now, we're going to try it and we're going to see what happens. Man, this is pretty rough. We'll take that one. Precision is at least better than anything that either of those pieces had to offer. The other thing to note is we are having a enhancement event going on right now as well. So upgrading this gear is okay. So, okay, we got 1 here, 2 on precision. Not the end of the world. We don't really need precision on her because she's not trying to land anything, but that works out in our favor. We also got her speed up to 143 here, which also isn't bad. That gives us a decent ceiling and a decent removability here. So let's try to get some more HP here. Okay, so it looks like this piece here may put us right where we need to be. And this completes the set for revival, which is the other goal that I was trying to hit. Okay. Double HP roll, perfect with an attack percent roll. Attack percent, once again, not helpful, but it worked out. We hit the minimum kind of for health. The defense is still really low. This could be obviously altered with these glyphs. We're at tier 3 glyphs here, going up to 15. You guys know this is a massive improvement. Like, we have defense there, we have health here. This one is a health percentage. That one's, I think, speed. And then if we keep going up, it's even better. The other thing to note is with that speed increase, then it's going to change this speed, but it would put this right at 149, which puts her right below it. Now, the only problem is if this goes up again, I think there is one additional speed glyph that is that could be utilized on Mary. That one would overthrow the comp, unfortunately. So we'll definitely have to make note of that. So the Ice Wolf is built, right? The Ice Wolf is built. Mary is built. Nathalia is built. Santis is built. Let's go ahead and let's go try it. Let's see what we get here for this Ash run. And we'll just do a quick run. See what we get here. I'll kind of commentate it a little bit and we'll talk about it. So you use defensive down, and then you want to use this last breath, because essentially what's going to happen is you're going to allow for the Ice Wolf to die, and then you're going to revive him, and then you're going to go again. He's going to keep the counterattack up, which is going to be very helpful, and then moving forward, he's going to die again and get revived, put the counterattack back up, and should be into the fight. Now, the other thing to note here is we are going to turn off Santis' abilities because we don't really need it. Some cases it's okay to leave it on if your Nathalia is really lacking the damage, which we know we are a little bit below on the damage, but this one should be okay because we're only on wave 10. So we should easily one-shot the first 2 waves. It's going to be when we get to 12. If we cannot one-shot these waves, then we know we have to tweak a little bit here and there to make this work. But so far, the turn order is correct. And like I said, I'm not entirely sure if this works for the level 10. We're going to find out. I want to say there's a good chance that this will work perfectly fine, and we'll be able to move on to 11 and 12. So let's go ahead and let's just leave this battle up. We'll know very quickly if this works. So we have counterattack placed, okay. He dies like he should, perfect. We should do a counterattack there, okay. So far, so good. She's gonna get her buff and do a little bit of damage here, okay. Ideally, that would have done just a little bit more of a buff, but that's okay. I think the reason why that got messed up is because of the fact that the speeds are a little different on this one. Yep, so that timing was correct there. Now we do the counterattack. And ideally, this is when the battle kind of ends on a perfectly tuned comp. We are not perfectly tuned, so now we're going to take a little bit more damage than we really needed to do. Hopefully Nathalia wipes here. Yes, she does. And Santis hopefully can place her poisons. Yep. And survive to kill the boss. Okay, so this is gonna work out. Nice. We just barely survived, but I think that's tuning as well, right? Definitely had some tuning issues going on. That could be because this is boss 10, not 12. This is the comp. Like I said, I know it is built for 12, not for the lower levels. Okay, let's go take 11. 11, I do believe this should work technically in 11 as long as the stats are correct. So let's go try it, see what we get. Mary's HP is pretty low, so that may be a problem. Okay, so let's Nathalia go ahead and go in here. She did clear that wave. That is the first good sign. Perfect. Cleared the second wave, so that's a good sign. That means Nathalia's damage is not too low. That's a good start. Now we need to see how many minions we kill on these waves, because we have to leave basically just 2 minions up from Nathalia's AoE. Now, when I say AoE, yes, it is not an AoE damage ability. I just want to make sure you guys are aware of this, because that is not how Nathalia works, but I'm sure you guys are aware of this. Okay, perfect. Nice, we left the 2 just like we were supposed to. Okay, and we resisted the bomb. That's okay. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. Ideally, the wolf gets the bomb, and that's where sometimes you need to make sure that wolf has a little bit of HP, just so that way if he does take that bomb, he doesn't immediately die and blow up your whole team. If that happens, the run fails. Okay, so this is where that move right there, that's what I was talking about with the HP with Mary, because one Nathalia needs to counterattack, which she did. So it looks like this will be okay. But Mary needs, yeah, see, Mary died there. Ideally, if she had a little bit more HP, she would have survived and it would have totally been fine. Looks like this is still gonna work out okay. All right, so I think we got a little lucky on that one. Mary definitely needs a little bit more HP though. She should be, at the end of the run, if we're pushing it very closely, it should be Mary and Santis that have the best gear and the best HP to allow us to absorb those minion battles or minion attacks. All right, let's push this into 12. Let's see if this works. This is gonna be, nope. So right now I can tell you that we are off a little bit. Nathalia needs a little bit speed. So with that right there, that just messed her up. So she is not gonna have enough buffs on her to do the damage. Well, she may go ahead and do the damage. Let's see. Okay, so she has enough overall damage, but the turn order, she's going too slow. This would be a way to RNG because she would have to proc a speed buff for this to work, and we're taking way too much damage. So when we do clear this wave and we get to the boss fight, nope, so it's definitely not going to work because that didn't work out at all. All right. Interesting. Let's let this play out just for a second. Let's see, just as a thought. Nope. Doesn't matter. We lost that one completely. This is what happens when it falls apart. So Nathalia is the problem. We gotta get her a little bit more damage as well as a little bit more speed. So we'll try that and see what we get. All right, well, we are back. We went ahead and I went and farmed the Nathalia glyphs. Now, as you can see here, I did just claim that is because, well, we did make it work just by getting this one glyph done on Nathalia that was able to boost our speed up high enough to where she now is going in the correct rotation for the fight. Now, one other thing to note here is overall, I did swap a little bit more of her gear as well. I did go ahead and level this up here. We ran out of gold. That was a problem. But because I had to go farm for that glyph, it remedied that problem for us, right? It made that problem a lot more salvageable because we were able to upgrade that. That did roll on attack percentage. And now let's go ahead and let's run this multi-battle. Let's do one multi-battle just so I can show you guys that this worked correctly. We did just run it. It did just succeed. But that was literally all we needed. We needed a little bit more speed. As you see here, she is very last in the rotation. That allowed us to go ahead and one-shot the wave. So as you see here, her damage is right at that cusp of go ahead and completing wave 1 and wave 2, which is exactly what we need. That's the first tall tale sign that this comp is going to work. If at any point in time we were to not clear these waves and we were on stage 12, this run would be immediately a failure. Now, when you get into hell mode, you want to have 2 turns per wave. So that's okay on hell mode. But because this is just Queen of Tides 12, this is a beginning-ish account here, this person really needs to make sure that Queen of Tides, or Ash 12 and Queen of Tides 12 run reliably before we can move on to any other content. Now let's see here. So far, everything is looking pretty good. We should be cleansing, putting up the, yep, perfect. We'll take that damage and we'll mitigate it, right? Then we'll counterattack. Yeah, everything is looking just great. It looks like we could use a little bit more focus on Santis though. That's probably going to be a little bit of a problem. But overall, I think it's going to work out just fine. Yeah, we win this one, no problem. All right, cool. Glad to see that. Now you'll see the boss will get a chance to go one more time. When he does this, he should detonate at this point. Yep, poisons. Boom, done. All right, just like that, it has succeeded. We have officially completed episode 4, where we have taken Kaylin's account from absolutely kind of nothing all the way up to Queen of Tides 12 and Ash 12. And the only thing I want to note and make a good point of with this whole series is the fact that she did have to farm Queen of Tides 12 for, I would say, I think she said she farmed for about 3 days, at least three to 4 days at least. And keep in mind, this is only doing 10 runs throughout the day. She does work and works full time, cannot play throughout the day. So that does limit the amount of runs that she can do. So it's not entirely impossible to go ahead and move on to these harder comps, but just bear in mind that this may take time and that sometimes, you know, it's worth the wait, because the end result is we have a minute 43 run on Ash 12. And as of whenever we started the series, she had nothing, right? She was not farming any gear. Now she can farm 6-star gear and really progress her account and really progress in this game. So that being said, I'm gonna go ahead, you know what, I'm gonna end it right here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, leave comments down below. I am gonna go and probably find another account to work on here very shortly. Maybe next weekend we'll have another account and we'll reboot this whole series and we'll see what we can get out of it. All right, have a good one, guys. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.